are lots of ways to lead a team. Some of how you approach leadership will depend on your personality, and some will come down to the environment you operate in. Different people require different styles of leadership, and that's something you need to consider as well. Effective leadership requires you to both listen to your team and to be decisive, and these two things are often at odds with each other, and many leaders struggle to find the right balance. If you add to this the challenge that people's expectations of their leaders have shifted, reflecting the changes in the world we live in, then you have the recipe for a challenge that stumps many. One of the most fundamental expectations that your employees have of you as a leader is that you satisfy their need to feel heard. A whole range of studies show that teams whose members feel their voices matter are more engaged, more productive, and more innovative. And 96% of employees have told us that they want leaders who actively listen, and people who feel heard are 4.6 times more likely to do their best work. And these are according to research done in Forbes magazine and Salesforce, respectively. Your team are typically much closer to the work than you are too, so they have valuable insights, and leveraging those can improve both morale and business results. But abdicating your decision-making responsibilities isn't the answer. As the leader, you must be the one to levy the final judgment. Leadership styles always exist on a spectrum. At the far extreme of this one, you see authoritative leaders like the early Steve Jobs, who was famous for making unilateral decisions and taking credit for the ideas of others, which were often ideas he'd earlier dismissed. At the other pole live the consensus-driven leaders, who collect input from everyone while acting slowly and indecisively. Effectiveness exists somewhere between the extremes. Your team want to be heard, but they also need a leader who can set direction, take responsibility, and make the tough calls. How much you lean to one side or the other will depend largely on your personal leadership philosophy, and there's not a right or wrong approach, but there are some clear steps you can take to make finding the appropriate balance easier. Start out by clearly framing the situation. Define and describe the desired outcomes, the obstacles to success, and any constraints that your team must consider. Provide context where it's necessary, and outline any potential pitfalls that need to be avoided. Consider Satya Nadella's approach when taking the reins at Microsoft. He set a clear vision for shifting the company to customer centricity, but he gave teams freedom to contribute ideas on how to actually achieve that vision. Then invite input, but make sure you set boundaries too. Let the team know that you genuinely value their ideas and insights, that you're interested in diverse opinions, but focus them on solutions, not just problems. Elon Musk famously invites engineers and designers to challenge his ideas and opinions, but he insists that they bring data and alternative solutions with them when they do. A critical third step is to set clear, specific deadlines for decisions and for receiving input. And by doing so, you provide a window of opportunity to people, but avoid delaying action. Signpost clearly how input and feedback should be communicated and what the time frame is, then stick to your deadlines unless something material changes. One of Amazon's leadership principles is disagree and commit, and it's focused on this idea that there's a time for healthy debate, but when the deadlines arrive and decisions are made, the team moves forward as one and with enthusiasm. Make sure that your invitation to provide feedback and input isn't just a gesture. If it's not genuine, people will quickly realize and they'll stop giving their energy and ideas to your initiatives. Try to weigh inputs objectively. Use a consistent decision-making tool if you have one to reduce your bias, and always make your big decisions on paper, not in your head. And then finally, come back to your team to communicate your decision clearly, including the rationale behind it. Explain why the path you chose won out, anticipate and address concerns openly, discuss the ideas that weren't chosen, and also why they were overlooked, while remaining, of course, positive and constructive. And make sure that your team can see that their input really did help to shape the decision, even when they didn't get the result they wanted. Lots of Google employees were very disappointed when the company decided to cancel Project Loon, which was focused on providing global internet through hot air balloons. But the leadership team were transparent about the financial and operational challenges involved, and so even though they were disappointed, they retained the trust of the group. Effective leaders listen first and then lead without faltering. If you use these 5 steps to balance openness with providing direction, then your team will feel both heard and led.